All right. Hello, everyone. It's a good time to be Indigenous. You're here with your boy Cody and Devin Destiny.
Hello, guys.
And Jay Falkus from Falkus Media.
Hello, guys.
Hey, welcome to another episode.
Here we are.
Woo! And we are repping the festive colors.
We are. You know what? We didn't actually even really plan this technically.
No.
You had already planned your outfit. I planned mine. And then we shared it with each other and we were like, no way.
Nice. I was really happy that we were both on the same wavelength on being a little festive, given the 'tis the season.
You know what? You should have brought your little Grinch tree. We could have put it right here.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, that would have been super cute.
I love that they're even selling those things.
Yeah. Well, who doesn't love the Grinch, right? I think we all relate somewhat to the Grinch because we all have that like little bit of crabby grouch soul within us.
Yeah.
That we see bits of ourselves in the Grinch. And anybody that hates the Grinch, it's like you're hating yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
A little bit.
Maybe.
I don't know. There's some real gung-ho Christmas loving folks out there.
I know several.
Yes.
Several. Like one of my friends, she's an esthetician. Well, not an esthetician. She's a lash tech. And I think she has like 4 Christmas trees in her house or something. Isn't that
4?
Something like that. I know. It's so cool. I used to love going to her house around Christmas time because it was just, Christmas balls to the wall.
Talk about rocking around the Christmas trees.
All the halls were decked. Oh my gosh.
Oh man, we got a nice tree. Sarah's like bugged me for a few years, like, can we get a real tree? And I've always said no because as a kid, we tried having a real tree. My allergic reaction was not good.
Oh no.
And so we just always had fake trees forever.
Yeah.
And then Sarah's like, do you think we could try and have a real tree? I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Like, I don't know, maybe things have changed and I can handle a real tree. But then with all the fires and everything, most places aren't selling Christmas trees.
I know.
Right now.
A lot of people lost trees too, to the drought.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we went to Canadian Tire and we sprung for this really nice tree. Already has the lights already like incorporated with it.
Yeah.
And it's a nice tree. So
that's awesome. We used to go and pick out real trees until we got cats.
Oh.
And it got to a point where I was so defeated every day because I would fix the tree right up perfectly. I swear we even tried tying it to the wall.
Right.
Somehow those little buggers would mess around in the tree, and I'm sure other cat moms and dads can relate to this, but those little turkeys would flip the tree like upside down, and I would get home from work, or Ryan would get home from work, and there'd be water all over the floor, smashed bulbs everywhere, and we were like, this is a fire hazard, and also you cats suck. So we were like, let's do a fake tree because they're pretty sturdy, they stand up really good. So we're back to a fake tree now, and I miss the smell of a real tree.
Yeah. I don't even remember what they smell like.
They smell so good.
Do they?
Yeah, they do. Especially when they're starting to dry out. That's when they like perfume the house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I know that with Christmas, what was I going to say about Christmas trees and cats? I was going somewhere. I had a train of thought. My train of thought has been everywhere today. I can't think of it. Oh, yes. Now I remember what I was going to say. So my grandpa and grandma had these really cool old school lights that would heat up and bubble.
What?
So it was like a big base, like, about like half the size of my fist.
Yeah.
And then like it would be a little stem about the size of my finger, and then it would bubble. And these were lights that would go all the way around the tree.
That is weird.
They were so cool.
That is
coolest
so cool.
lights.
That sounds like something that belongs like at an EDM concert or something.
I don't know. We couldn't find them. I don't know what. I think they got thrown out. Probably they're probably a fire hazard at this point. Like
maybe, yeah. Oh, that'd be neat to find stuff like that. I didn't like our tree came with lights already too.
Nice.
So I don't buy any extra Christmas lights except for the ones that I put all over like the house and stuff, right? And I went a little nuts with decorations this year.
Okay, so here's a question then. When you decorate your tree, are you the type of person that's like, a little bit of garland and some lights and the star on top, some ornaments, and we're good? Or are you like coating that thing in tinsel,
oh God,
garland, all of that? Like,
you know what? I'm a simple person. Easy setup, easy takedown.
Nice.
If when I used to go like crazy like that, it would stay up till February and Ryan would be just livid because it was too much for me to take down. It was annoying because after the holidays, I'm all gassed out. And after being so busy, I'd be like, but it's so pretty in here too. It makes me feel so happy being in Christmas Wonderland. So I would leave it up for too long. So now it's just simple, simple put up, simple takedown.
So would you say Christmas is like your favorite holiday of the year then?
Oh, you know what? I don't really have a favorite holiday.
Okay.
I love Christmas because I love being with my family.
Right.
But I love like turkey dinner. So I guess like anything to do with like Christmas and you know what's sad is that I don't like to say Thanksgiving because we still do turkey dinner.
Yeah.
But we don't like celebrate Thanksgiving.
Well, I mean, Thanksgiving is totally different in Canada than it is in the United States.
Yeah.
Right. Very different contexts.
Yeah, very true.
So I would say it's okay to have Thanksgiving.
Well, yeah, it is, right? And I think it's, I don't know, maybe this is another topic for another time, talking about Thanksgiving, because we are about to go into Christmas.
Right.
But I don't know, I've always felt uncomfortable around Thanksgiving, just knowing the history of it all and like how many people are still like fighting the true history of it. Let's just say that. So I get exhausted on the point of it and I'm like, shut up and just give me some turkey. Okay. Better yet, give me the stuffing and then you stuff it. So, those are just my vibes sometimes.
Yeah.
My hangry vibes.
I always, there's one thing I really appreciated about like family gatherings for like holidays. And I always enjoyed watching my mom and dad work in a kitchen together.
Oh, that's cute.
Because they just made magic. They just knew what to do. There's a little bit of arguing, always a little bit of like, get out of my way and whatever, but it was always love. It was always like, they just put on the meal for the entire family. And it was always like really special. So I remember last Christmas, I kid you not, I made the best turkey ever.
Ooh.
Ever.
Yeah.
Because I learned that, despite family traditions, the best way to cook a turkey is by getting a thermometer and checking the internal temperature. Because if you just bake it based on what grandma or grandpa handed down over the years, it's not going to always turn out great. But if you just have a thermometer, plug it in there and you wait for it to be at that right temperature. Yeah. It's moist. The meat falls off the bone easily.
That word.
Moist.
I hate that word. Sorry. Pause. I can't not crack a smile when somebody says that word. I don't know why. God, I'm a child.
I think I'm gonna have to throw that out there every once in a while.
No.
There are.
So you're nice.
What's another word? How can you
tender?
Tender? Yeah.
I don't know. I wasn't expecting to hear that word today. Slightly caught off guard.
Oh, that was good. But yeah, I felt very good about that turkey and like awesome. just when you take on that role, when you put on family dinners, because, your parents do it for years, but then you have, not that I don't have any children, but like when maybe it's like, hey, you know what? We're going to do Christmas at my house this year. Like when it kind of shifts.
Yes.
And when you put on a Christmas dinner, it's a lot. And
it is tons of work.
But it feels good.
Yeah, it does.
It feels really good. So
do you crank Christmas music or like holiday music, whatever holiday it is when you're doing your cooking?
Yeah.
I have to.
Yeah.
Have to stay in the spirit.
Yeah.
There's a lot less cuss words that come out of my mouth in the kitchen when I'm listening to Holly Jolly something.
Sure.
So
honestly, after the Prospera Christmas market we did, I'm quite okay if I don't hear Christmas music again for a very long time.
No doubt. I could understand that 1,000%.
It was nonstop.
Overwhelming.
Like on repeat.
Yeah. You wouldn't last 1 second in the North Pole.
No. And you know what? The more we talk about Christmas, I'm starting to realize that I am more like the Grinch. and we do have a lot in common. So,
oh, well, there you go. Okay.
I like being in China and like not having your like authentic or more traditional style of Christmas.
Yeah.
Like my first year in China for Christmas, you know where me and my friends went for Christmas dinner?
Karaoke bar?
No, McDonald's.
Oh, wow. That's awesome though.
No, it was not awesome. It was terrible. I can't believe like we literally had breakfast and lunch there.
Yeah. I'd expect that from somebody who was like an American.
It was a couple Canadians and a few Australians.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, geez, like what, I guess, like what do they celebrate there for this time of year?
I mean, Christmas in China is very commercial.
Okay.
So it's just like all the advertisements or, you know, Santa and festive and holiday shopping, but it's not, it's growing. It's a culture that's growing in China where more people are starting to partake in the setting up of trees and gift giving and stuff, but it's really more just
like a showy
thing.
Okay. Yeah. I gotcha. Yeah, that must have been so like different being there and experiencing like these kind of holidays while being over there. So that's really cool having to experience that or not experience that.
We had to make it our own, you know. We really had to come together as a, you know, whatever foreigners were in the, you know, in the area or our group of friends or coworkers, you know, we just kind of had to band together and just make a Christmas for ourselves.
McDonald's Christmas.
Nice. And then, you know, years down the road when I moved to Wuxi, there's a Australian bar called Red Lion. Shout out to Stu and Les. You know, they still run that bar, but they decided that it was important to have a Christmas gathering. Yeah. And so they worked out a deal with another local restaurant that was like kind of a high-end restaurant. Yeah. And we did Christmas buffet.
Oh, wow.
So it was like a buffet dinner and you got a gift and you got an open bar.
Nice.
And so we would just get wasted and eat Christmas food and we'd sing Christmas songs and like, it was really awesome.
So it was like karaoke.
It turned into that. Yeah, it absolutely did.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Super fun. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's cool. Are you cooking turkey dinner this year?
Well, we'll be in Ontario this year. We're going to have Christmas with Sarah's family because, you know, COVID, we couldn't go last year. Yeah. And then, so, you know, she hasn't been with her family for a couple of years now. So it's important that we get to go over there and she gets to spend time with her family.
100%. I think that's like the hardest time about the holidays. Like that's the biggest thing that gives me the most anxiety is coming from a family where my parents were divorced and then remarried, and then Ryan's parents were divorced and then into new relations. So we have like, it's like we have 6 households that we have to hop around to. So once we had kids, we were like, we're not hopping around all year anymore. Like it's like our feet, we hit the ground running every day and it was so overwhelming. Yeah. And it was like that since we were kids, right? Yep. So now we have it planned so that on Christmas Eve we go to one house. Christmas Day we do at our house. And then Boxing Day we go do with the other side of the family. And we try to like make it all work. So we see everyone.
That's a lot of turkey.
It is. Yeah. And you know what? Ryan's always the same thing too. He's just like, you know what? After the holidays, I'm quite good on turkey dinner until February. Or not February.
April.
Wait,
when's Easter? April?
I think it's April.
Jay, you want to look that up?
Like,
I'm just kidding.
Okay, yeah. I'm like, he probably knows off the top of his head. So I should know this. But yeah, so we get the same way. It's just like, you can overdo it on turkey. It's the turkey coma. Yeah. And yeah, no doubt.
Do you do like since you have like a few different households you got to visit, is there a combination of turkey and ham, or is it just straight turkey, or?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes it is. I think it depends on who's cooking and whatnot. It like when we do it at our house, we do turkey, we do ham, we do like Brussels sprouts, and then we do potatoes, mashed potato, or sweet potatoes, mashed potatoes, all those other, and then we have a bunch of sides and all the hors d'oeuvres and all that stuff too, right?
Hors d'oeuvres?
Yes.
Hors d'oeuvres?
Yes.
For Christmas?
Well, like a charcuterie board and stuff.
Okay.
That's like an hors d'oeuvre thing.
What?
Right?
Okay,
it's
wait.
like,
maybe I'm not sure what an hors d'oeuvre is per se. So what is it? What's an hors d'oeuvre?
Hors d'oeuvre is like, so like we do like a charcuterie board. Sometimes we'll do like bacon wrapped asparagus, or like, you know, like little mini snacks. and like little quiches.
Okay.
Okay, I have to share something too. For the longest time, I thought quiche was pronounced quiche. So there's my little thing I got to admit here is like, so for so long I was like, Mom, something the quiches, and she's like, the what? Yeah, I was corrected very fast. Yeah,
the quiches.
The quiches.
I think I'm gonna start calling them that.
Quiches. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever had. I might have had quiche once in my life.
It's so good. I'm like,
is it the egg thing?
Yeah, it's like an egg pie.
Egg pie.
I know it's weird, but it's good.
It sounds interesting.
Yeah, they're yummy. I like the ones that are like ham and cheese or like bacon and cheese, and then there's some that are like there's some that are like spinach and cheese, and you can go on with them. And I don't know, I combine all of it when I make my own, and they're so fucking amazing. It's so
nice.
Good. Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
So let's check in.
Yeah, let's do it.
So how was your week?
Oh my gosh, it was chaotic. It was chaotic. I've got something going on with my horse right now. Since we had to move him into his own stall, he has developed this thing in his man parts where it's like, because he hasn't been moving around as much.
Okay.
And because we had such poopy weather for a while, I wasn't taking him out and taking him for his walks and all of that. And so he developed this thing. So of course I call my one horse guru friend where I'm like, hey, like, we've got a problem here. I remember you had something like this with your horse, and she gave me some info on it. So I have to keep an eye on him. I won't go too into detail because some people are like, they don't want to hear that. But yeah, so I'm dealing with him right now. We have a bunny living in our house. Did I say that last time we were on?
Is it the same bunny that I saw outside? Is that like when I came over there and you were feeding the pigs or watering the pigs, and then you had a couple bunnies outside in the coop?
So yeah, those two bunnies, they're staying there. And then there was another bunny that was in his own. And I moved him just for the winter because our plan was to move the bunnies in with the pig and have the bunnies rooming with the pig with the heat lamp drop down. And the pig, she's a bit of an asshole. She is so strong. She flipped his hutch upside down. And the poor dude, like, I thought he was gone. I was quite convinced, like, maybe she ate him. I don't know, because I couldn't find him.
Oh, no.
And anyways, I waited around. It was like 2 days I couldn't find him. Then I found him. And then, it's really funny because like I brought him back down to the house and I walked in and I was like, hey, someone's going to come live with us for a bit because we got to figure out a new living arrangement for him. And Ryan was like, absolutely not. And I was like, it's happening. So we have a bunny living with us now, and he stays in my studio where I do my readings. And it's funny because I do virtual readings, and every now and then I'll have a client that's like, what was that just ran behind you? And I'm like, what? And then I like get freaked out. I'm like, what do you mean? And then, like, oh, that's a bunny. You have a bunny in your house? Yeah. He just runs around. Yeah.
They're like, what was that? You're like, was that a like a spirit, or like what do you like? What did you see?
Well, initially, because that's usually what we're talking about, right? When then they're like, what was that? And I'm like, what?
Oh, that's funny.
It's cute. It's fun. And readings have been busy. I've been working on kind of getting our Instagram a little bit more attention as well. So I've been doing my homework. I've been doing my Insta and like social media homework. I actually fell asleep on the couch last night. I stayed up. I caught up on Reservation Dogs.
Yes.
And so we can talk about that finally. Yeah. And also, like I watched a bunch of YouTube tutorials, which some of them, I'm not gonna lie, I fast forwarded through because people talk too much. You know, I'm like somebody who talks too much, but when it's other people, sometimes I'm like, I'm also a little bit hyperactive, so I can't sit through things for too long. Right. Or I get up and start doing stuff, right?
Can you just get to the good bit, please?
Yeah, just show me what I need to do. Cut to the chase.
Yeah.
But yeah, so been doing that, and then I guess mentally preparing myself with excitement for my 30th birthday.
Hey. Wow. You're welcome. You're going to be a part of the Dirty 30 Club.
I'm so hyped to be welcomed into the Dirty 30 Club.
It's a good place to be.
I honestly, I feel like, you know what's so funny? I feel like 20s are for when we're finally figuring our shit out. And then 30s is when we're getting our shit together.
I would say that would be true for women. I think for men, it's probably like the 30s when we're still figuring things out, and the 40s is when we're like, okay, you know, we're getting things kind of done.
Well, it is scientifically known that women do mature faster than men.
Absolutely.
I mean, whatever. I'm not a scientist, so I can't say that's a matter of fact, but that's just what I've heard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm not going to argue that. I've seen it. I believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what's going on in Cody's world?
Well, speaking of Dirty 30 clubs,
yes.
I just hit the 36 milestone.
So you are now closer to 40 than you are to...
That hurts a little.
I know. Ryan said the same thing when I said it to him too.
Shout out to Ryan. Hey man, I'm there. I'm with you.
Yeah.
You're not alone anymore.
Oh, it's all good. It's awesome.
It is. And so yeah, I just celebrated my 36th born day. And it was good. I went and played Frisbee Golf with a few of my friends, and I won.
Nice. Where do you guys go and play?
We usually go on weekends. We either go play Salmon Arm, or we'll play Fallow Ridge, which is out in Coldstream.
Awesome.
And it's like it's in, this guy named Ken. It's in his backyard.
Yeah.
And, it's just like you're playing through the forest. You're playing through trees and shrubs and bushes, and
that's awesome.
You're playing the elements. So you really have to, it's a challenge. But
Frisbee golf.
Yes. Frisbee golf. I kid you not. This is my second favorite sport.
You'll have to invite me and Ryan out sometime, and we'll play with you and Sarah, and then we can try this, because I've never played Frisbee golf. Just
be prepared to get addicted, because it is the most fun thing.
I thought you were going to say competitive.
No, well, I'm very competitive. I this sport to me is now I put a lot of time and effort into it.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of open space where I live. Yeah. So I just go out and practice.
Oh, okay.
I just practice my throwing. But we can go play Lakers. So Lakers is in Vernon. Do you remember the old pitch and putt Lakers down at Marshall Fields?
I've never been there, but I've heard of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they turned it into a Frisbee golf course a few years ago.
Awesome.
And so it's just wide open, really easy. We play there a lot too, but usually when the weather's a bit nicer.
Yeah.
But we prefer to play the harder courses in the winter.
Nice.
Just a little bit more fun.
A little more of a challenge.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Awesome.
What else? Yeah, we played Frisbee golf. We went and had dinner with my family.
Nice.
It was a good day. I wasn't sure how I'd feel on that day, because, I'm missing a few very important people in my family now. And, so I wasn't sure how I would feel that day, but I woke up and it's just the love, the birthday wishes, the text messages, Facebook messages, all of that just really made me feel really good,
Yeah.
People were like, hey, have a great day. And I did. But yesterday was a bit of a rough day. I had a lot of anxiety. Not sure why. I can't pin it to any certain thing, but I was very anxious.
Yeah.
And it just stayed with me all day.
Yeah.
And then today I felt better. But I think maybe after all the excitement and you have a bit of time to kind of reflect on things, it was just I think that's maybe what it was, but trying to think. Other than that, I mean, we've just been busy with our apparel business. Thank you to everyone who's supporting us right now and ordering Christmas gifts for friends and family. And it's been so awesome. We really appreciate all that support and love from everyone out there. So thank you for helping us out for the Christmas season. And we hope everyone loves their gifts. And
I love my gift.
Yeah.
It is so awesome. Thank you so much.
Of course. I think it's kind of nice when you have something to offer friends and family, now that we have this apparel business, we don't have to worry so much about going out and trying to find gifts for people. Yeah. We have an entire office full of gifts, right? It's just you can get a sweater and you can get a t-shirt and you can get a toque, and it's just, it's nice. It's just, it feels good to be able to give things like that to friends and family.
Yeah.
and they appreciate it too. So,
well, I definitely appreciate my gift. Thank
not
you
a
so
problem.
much, my friend.
Not a problem. There's gonna be lots more where that came from.
Well, you know what? I had a gift to bring for you and Jay today, and then I was so mad because, of course, my evening got all kerfuffled.
Right.
And then I got here, and I told you about my dream that I had. Like, I had a dream last night that I forgot to put on deodorant before coming here, and then, of course, like getting into the driveway, opening the door, realizing, crap, I actually forgot to put on deodorant. I was like, what the fuck? That was the weirdest thing.
You know what? Just a tip that I can offer you that I do.
Yeah.
So I have deodorant in my bathroom.
Yeah.
I have deodorant in my vehicle.
Yeah.
And I have deodorant in my backpack.
I usually have one in my purse. And of course, I told you I switched my purses.
Oh, that's right.
And I grabbed the wrong one, but I grabbed the one, I still had my wallet and stuff, right? But
Right.
I was like, oh my God, I didn't switch my purse over.
The struggles of women and purses, right?
You have
Multiple
to pick one that
bags and-
matches your outfit. And you don't wear the same outfit every day. You don't wear the same colors every day. So you got to switch your purse.
Yeah, I get it. I mean,
Yeah.
I understand it, but it's like, how much, do you believe in that old school rule of like, as a man, you're not supposed to go into a woman's purse or touch anything in there?
Unless he has permission, then yes.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So I still kind of abide by that,
Yeah.
unless Sarah, Sarah will be like, hey, can you get something out of my purse? I'm like, am I allowed to?
It's like going into Wonderland.
Oh yeah, you don't know what's in there. It's like, it's like the tickle trunk,
It is.
right? Like Mr. Tressa.
It is. It literally is. Like, I mean, I'm surprised at the things that I can fit into my purse. And then when I whip them out in front of people, they're like, you had that in your purse? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so good.
So you want to jump into Reservation Dogs?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. We have to talk about this. Can I just say how amazing Willie Jack is? Again, I said that our very first episode, I believe. And I just have to say that one more time. Willie Jack, you're my favorite.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
And actually a lot of what I want to talk about is actually to do with Willie Jack.
Oh, okay.
And her character and just, so, I kind of wanted to talk about how many episodes are there? There's 8?
8 or 9. Yeah.
8 or 9. I can't remember, but the last 2 episodes were pretty the second last episode was heavy in terms of it shows a flashback of their friend Daniel.
Yeah.
When
Alora
found Daniel.
Yeah.
And that scene was something that I think a lot of us can relate to. Mm-hmm. In the sense of I was thinking about just in our community alone.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's anyone in our community who has not been affected by suicide. Mm-hmm. And, I think that was I appreciated that they showed that, they kind of explained what happened to Daniel. Mm-hmm. Because I think that that's one of those things. You and I have talked a lot about mental health.
Yeah.
And I think that it was hard to watch.
Yeah.
It was a really emotional scene.
Yeah. I actually had to leave the room the first time I saw it.
Right.
As somebody who has struggled with suicidal thoughts my whole life. And it's something that some people say is a no, you don't talk about that, which makes people feel shame for when they do openly talk about it. Whereas now, even with clients and stuff, doing the work that I do doesn't mean that I'm not a human and that I don't feel things. Doesn't mean I've got it all figured out, So when I'm able to relate with certain people about things, you really do feel that pain because you can understand where they're coming from. And where these thoughts can sometimes just blindside you, hit you out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And you could be having a fabulous week, and then all of a sudden one day something triggers you and sets you off. Mm-hmm. And it's like that with mourning and depression. And when we talk about suicide, there are things emotional aspects that people skip over completely.
Yeah, and I think I was curious your thoughts on this, but in my opinion, I think that like while struggles of mental health is already stigmatized in terms of like men talking about what's going on in their world, I think suicide's a level above that.
Yeah.
I think, and I don't just mean for men, I mean for anyone.
Yeah.
Like it's really hard to talk about something that big.
It is.
With anyone, because you're so, I don't know, like I don't know how to explain it, but I just feel like it's something that is like you are going to be so vulnerable in talking about suicidal thoughts or what you're dealing with and why you maybe feel like you don't want to live or anything like that, right? It's like, I feel like that is even more challenging to talk about than just maybe, I don't want to say just, but you know, if it was depression or anxiety, but like that to me is like a step up of the rest.
Well, and it's crazy too, because I was, I was doing the dishes. I was watching one of the housewife shows and stuff. It was kind of just more like white noise, but my bunny ears went up when I heard one of the housewives talking about how another housewife was talking about it so openly, but she talks about her story all the time, and this other girl doesn't talk about her story all the time.
Right.
So it was a trigger for her.
Okay.
And she ended up going to somebody else and just totally confiding and breaking down and just being like, every time she talks so openly about it, it triggers me about when I attempted suicide. And I don't talk about that with people because I was made to feel embarrassed about it.
Okay.
And that like I felt weak, or that I felt, like you go through these emotions and where you feel judged, like you feel like people are judging you. And sometimes when you get to that point, you literally feel like everyone around you is better off without you, because you feel like you're putting so much on other people. And it's like a guilty feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've definitely had suicidal thoughts in my life. Definitely been a few times. But I kind of just remind myself of like how important it is to work through thoughts like that. And just, I don't know, I'm such an optimistic, positive person that I kind of think that side of my personality kind of takes over, and it's like, whoa, buddy, hey.
But then people least suspect it from you. And that's the dangerous thing, is when you are the least suspecting person, the person who's the happy-go-lucky, everybody loves you kind of thing. It's something that people, if it were to ever happen, they would be like, I never would have known that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So I think just touching back on the Reservation Dogs. So as you watch that episode and then you get into the final episode, I think that it shows us something that I think we all struggle with. And that is, when they lost their friend Daniel, I think how the storyline goes is that they lost their friend Daniel and they're like, fuck this, we're getting out of here.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's how the storyline kind of went.
It was. They're like, this place consumes people. It destroys lives.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to consult my notes here because I took notes because I really wanted to like address a few points on here. And so that I literally wrote that down. This place eats people. You fucking know that.
Yeah.
Right. That's what Willie Jack says. Or no, sorry, not Willie Jack. Alora says that.
Yeah.
And so I think that like that we have that mentality. I think a lot of communities, a lot of Indigenous communities have that kind of ideology of like, this place eats people. It's not a good place. We got to get out of here.
Yeah.
And so I think when you see that, I see it myself.
Yeah.
In our community, I see it all over the place in friends' communities and other relatives who live far away.
You think of all the escapism, like drugs and alcohol and other forms of abuse, and then the nonstop party life. Like, I know probably at least once a day, I will go on my Facebook scroll and I'll see one more person getting sober, one more person talking about their 90 days, one more person talking about their 30 days, one more person talking about their 1 week sober.
Love that.
And, you know, seeing stuff like that, it's like people, when they're dealing with those things, they're very aware.
Yeah.
But the pain that they need to cover up with what they're using sometimes outweighs the thought of people are scared of success. They're scared of doing good. They're scared of their life changing, because it's not that they're comfortable being stagnant and being numb. It's that they fear the change.
It's what they know.
It's what they know. And they're scared they're going to lose people around them. They're scared. They're, you know, that's one of the big things, is that they're so scared at how different their life will be.
Yeah. I agree 1,000%. Mm-hmm. And I think I'm glad you said that, because I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant here.
Okay.
But,
Cody rant,
you know, it's something that, I think a lot about mental health. I think a lot about our struggles. And I think that I think about mental health almost every day. It's like in my forefront. It has been for a long time. And I'm always trying to like sit back and reflect on moments of my life and moments of other people's lives that are close to me. And I truly, truly believe that if we had more people who can reach out, ask for help, address trauma, address things that have impacted their life negatively. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you right now, there's mental health. If we could learn, if we can get past the stigma, if we can start normalizing, bettering ourselves and talking about our problems and resolving our issues and facing our fears of reliving traumatic events and moments. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying it's easy. It's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not. But that fear, if we can look past that fear, if we can go beyond the fear, you will see a clear, beautiful other side of just calmness.
Like euphoric.
Yes.
Yes.
Honestly.
100%. I can definitely relate to that feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if more people could just push a little bit further past that fear, I'm telling you, the other side's beautiful. Yeah. And it is something that because if your mental health is suffering, and we've said this before, but it is affecting everyone around you, you know, and if people are growing up and never addressing their mental health and addressing, you know, things that have impacted their life negatively, that get passed on.
Yeah.
And so I really believe that, you know, a lot of people talk about world issues and things that are wrong. To me, mental health is the issue.
It triggers so much with whatever's going on in the world.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. It's like a chain reaction. A lot of things actually start from mental health. Like you think of some of the most powerful people in the world, they're fucking hungry for money all the time because they're never satisfied and always thirsty. Mm-hmm. And it's a thing. It's a trauma thing. Maybe their parents never made them feel like they were good enough, so they had to keep striving and striving and striving. But deep down, there's that hole in them still where they don't feel like they're good enough. And I absolutely love what you said about that, because it's a thing where you have to be brave enough to push yourself.
Yes.
And you have to be brave enough to kind of step out of that shadow. And it's called inner child work. It's called inner child healing. It's also called shadow work. I do shadow work with clients all the time. I've been doing it for years, and it's revisiting, not reliving, but revisiting those traumas.
Yes.
Going back, like talking to yourself as a child, talking yourself through it, helping to understand, telling yourself you're going to be okay. You make it. You're going to be fine.
Yeah.
You're okay. You have to do that work, because a lot of times it's those past things that hold us back. where we maybe feel dirty, or we feel like we can't forgive ourselves, or we feel like we did something wrong and we can't heal from that trauma, or somebody did something wrong to us. It's all about going back, revisiting, and troubleshooting, like brainstorming on it, allowing yourself, like when we did our meditation exercise, right? Like I told you, allow those thoughts to flow. Yeah. Because that is meditation. You can't try and control your thoughts. That defeats the purpose. You need to allow them to come in. Yep. And it's the same thing while you're doing this kind of work, is you sit there with your thoughts and you let them go through your mind. And it's like dropping a sucker in a cat bed. And you have to pick up the sucker and you have to pick off all the tiny hairs. That's what soul work is like. It's like every time you think you're done, you turn the sucker around and you're like, well, fuck, now there's like a whole other sweater on the back of this lollipop.
I like that analogy. That's really good.
I came up with that on the spot, but it's literally, that's what it's like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I never thought of it
and you're
that
never
way.
done doing your soul work.
That's just it. Mm-hmm. It's a continual process that
where we continue to learn.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So going on the last episode of Reservation Dogs, right? So there's, so the whole episode is basically about them. They got their money they needed and they're like, okay, we're good. We're leaving. Mm-hmm. Like, are you guys all ready? And Willie Jack, right? So
loved that part.
So Willie Jack, so they all meet up at their meeting spot, right? And, Bear comes in and he says something pretty cool. And he says, hey, listen, you guys, I got to tell you something. I've been seeing a spirit for the last little while. And she's like, what? You're dating a spirit? And she's like, hold on. And he's like, no, I've been having visions. And she's like, oh, had me worried there for a minute. But, and then Bear explains that like the ancestor says that we have unfinished business. Yeah. Or I have unfinished business. Yeah. And, and Willie Jack says, well, okay. Like, he's like, I think the spirit's telling me we have to go fight, the other crew. Right. And she's like, okay, well, if the ancestors said, I guess we got to honor them. Yeah. Right. And then they run over and go.
Not listening to the ancestors. Uh-oh.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. So they run over and they're going to go start this fight with the other group. And then the tornado hits. Yeah. But I think about that scene of like, when the spirit came and visited Bear and said, you have unfinished business. Mm-hmm. And the whole preface is like, they want to leave. Yeah. And he's like, no, you have unfinished business. Yeah. So, you watch the entire episode and sorry, spoiler alerts for everyone. A little late in the show to be saying this.
I was going to say, Jay, did you catch up yet?
Oh, man, I'm so sorry, dude. I'm so sorry. Watch it anyway. You'll still enjoy it. I promise. Yeah. But that mentality, I've seen it in our own community, in a lot of other communities where people want to get out. Yeah. Right. Like they see that what's going on and they don't like what they see. And they're like, I got to get out of here. I want to grow. I want to grow. Yeah. And even though like I left, but I didn't leave because I didn't like the reservation or I didn't like what I was seeing in our community. I just wanted to see more of the world. Mm-hmm. I just saw an opportunity and You did
come back a different person though, is what you did say. And things were different when you got back.
Absolutely. Yeah. I grew so much. Yeah. And so what I mean by all of this is to say that it is important to grow. And if leaving allows you to grow, then that's a good thing. Yeah. Now, in terms of coming back, mm-hmm. that's where things get a little bit different. Yeah. And, I really love when I see people coming back to the community and getting involved and coming into jobs or volunteer positions and like trying to help move the community in a more positive direction, in a better direction. Yeah. But at the same time, sometimes it's really hard to watch people leave. Yeah. and you're like, you know, you came back and now you're going again. Why are you going this time?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of reasons, you know, that we know, that can affect people staying or going and keeping jobs and working within our community. But I think that it all boils down to mental health.
Yeah, 100%.
And people not dealing with their trauma, dealing with their negative impacts that they've faced in their life, and they project it onto other people.
I totally understand that. That was like one of the big reasons that I hardly ever returned to Merritt, because I had a lot of traumas there. And it severely impacted me. And like, I grew up on the res in Merritt, but I loved being on the res. I loved being there, but it was in town where my traumas happened.
Yes.
So it was always in town where and you know, like kids are mean and whatever. And everybody's an asshole, I guess, at that age. But that's where it all kind of started for me. And it made me act out. And I would act out and I would go home and my parents would be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And it was just literally being trapped in toxicity. Yeah. Right. So it is like what is that one saying? If a flower, if a flower cannot grow, you change its environment.
Yep.
Yes. So it was kind of like that, where my mom, you know, noticed all these things with me and she's like, this is not how I raised you. This is not who you are. You need to get your shit together. You got to go get your shit together.
That's right.
So my dad, thinking she thought my dad would be a total hard ass on me. And anyway, I moved in with my dad and it was not like that at all. So I had a lot of fun, but you know what? I really found myself when I left that environment.
Yes.
I found myself. I went from being a girl that I did not consider popular, that I considered got bullied a lot, that I was always getting nitpicked on, to moving to Vernon, to becoming one of the popular kids, and then also being like the bully of the bullies. Because coming from where I came from, I was too scared to stand up to the bullies.
Okay.
And when I moved, that was my mantra. Like, you're a different person. You will not allow yourself to be talked down to, and you will not allow anybody to talk down to other people. Yeah. So I was the person on the bus. If I saw somebody getting bullied, I would go and sit with that person that was getting bullied, and I'd turn around and, you know, like, be like, are we throwing down, or are you going to shut up and turn around and leave this poor kid alone? Right. So toxic environments have a huge impact on mental health. Yeah. And I couldn't agree more with you, having to change and leave. I've always wanted to go to Alberta to do my growing, but it never worked out for me. But I do have family members who say the same thing. Like, they love the Okanagan, but they need to grow, so they would leave. So when you leave the environment that you are most comfortable in, the only thing that you know, it's scary. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I moved across the fucking world. Yeah. Doesn't matter how much you hate your life where it is, you're comfortable with it. Yes. Right. I still remember this day telling my parents, like, I came to the decision that I was moving to China. And they were like, what the fuck? Yeah. Like, huh? Like, we expect you to say you're going to move into town, you're going to move off the res, or you might move to Kelowna. But like China, they thought I wouldn't last 6 months. Yeah. They thought I would be back within half a year. 8 years I spent in that country. And so the point I'm making is that it is important to leave your comfort zone. It is important, because I learned this by going to university, that we don't learn until we reflect. Yeah. And if you don't have a chance to reflect, you're not going to learn. Mm-hmm. So going back to the Reservation Dogs, there's two other points that I wanted to address, tie this all together. Yeah. One really cool thing that, so you remember earlier episode when Cheese, that they're in the medical center and he ended up getting his eye exam done because he was just there and he's like getting candy, and she's like, oh, you got to get an eye exam if you want candy. He's like,
okay. So, but then that elder calls him into the room and says, grandson. And he's just like, and she's like, come here, and then he just like hangs out with this elder for that episode. Right.
Yeah.
So in this last episode, he's at her house. I think it's her house.
That was so cute.
And he's like, I really need to tell you something. And she's like, what's that? He says, I'm not your grandson. And she says to him, you are my grandson, even if you're not.
I love that.
And that like hit so close to home, because that, as Indigenous people, is how we see each other. Mm-hmm. Whether we are related by blood or not, if you are a part of that community, you are family.
You are a brother, you're a sister, you're a cousin, you're an auntie, you're an uncle.
Yes.
You're a grandma, you're a grandpa.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you actually are to those people.
Nope.
And that's why it gets so confusing for like non-Indigenous people to come into our community. They're like, wait, you're married to so-and-so and you're married to so-and-so, but y'all are cousins. It's like, well, no, not really. This is how, okay. Let's go back to square one, trying to like reiterate it all to them.
Oh yeah. Like this is my sister. Wait, I thought you said you only had one sister. Oh, I'm sorry. My sister cousin.
Yeah. My sister cousin.
My sister cousin.
Or my auntie cousin.
Yeah. We call, there's so many people in the community who I call auntie, who I call uncle.
Yeah.
I haven't dropped any grandma or grandpas on
like you
anyone.
call my grandma auntie.
I do.
Yeah.
I've always called her auntie.
Yeah.
But that's what she is to me.
Yeah.
And she calls me nephew.
Yeah.
And that's just how we do things.
Yeah.
And I fucking love it.
Me
I
too.
love that there's so much love.
Yes.
Like you just being at a gathering or anything, and you just see people, hey auntie, hey uncle.
Yeah.
And now that we're getting older, when you see like the young ones
calling you auntie
calling us auntie and uncle, right? And you're like, there's a certain pride to that.
It does. It's like a heartwarming feeling.
Yes.
Your Grinchy heart grows 3 sizes that day.
Maybe even more.
Yeah.
So that really resonated with me. And then the last point is when they're all in the church.
Yeah.
And the tornado's there. And Willie Jack stands up. And she talks about her, I apologize if I get choked up here, but she talks about, she stands up and says, I'm not leaving. Mm. And, it's my mom and dad's anniversary. And ever since Daniel died, which was her cousin, I haven't seen them happy. Mm-hmm. And I really, really thought about that with my parents. Mm-hmm. And when my older brother passed away, mm-hmm. and how much that impacted their relationship. Yeah. The loss of a child. And even though Daniel wasn't their child, I'm sure he was like their child. He was like their child. Yeah. So, but the thing like that really like made me think about a lot of things in my life. But what she said at the very end was, she's like, I'm not leaving because they're not always going to be here. And I have so much more to learn from them. And that resonated with me so heavily, because while it's important to get out and to experience other things in life, it's important to come home, and it's important to be with your family, because life is short. And we don't know how much time we have with our family, with our loved ones.
You don't want to be filled with regret.
Exactly.
Sorry, I can't look at you without crying right now.
No, that's okay. That's okay. But that really stuck with me. And, I made the decision to leave for 8 years, and I missed out on a lot. Mm-hmm. But that's the sacrifice that you have to think about when you're making those decisions, right? Yeah. And so I just, with that, I just thought, my mom has passed, and, I just have my dad now. And so the time that I spend with him is just like everything now. It's everything.
And you know, like how grateful he is for that, right?
Yeah.
Like he is. He's like a teddy bear man. And yeah. And honestly, like I can see how big of love you guys have for each other. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He.
Oh my God! Stop. Stop it.
He gave me this card. So he got me a gift, a birthday gift. When we went out to dinner, he got me a card and a gift, and the card was just like real sentimental. Like, and then he just kind of shared how important and how grateful he is for us, like having that time together and helping him with everything. So, that was, I didn't think we could get closer. We're already very close, but I didn't think we could get closer, but we have.
Yeah. It was like a milestone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I'm glad you guys have that kind of relationship.
Yeah.
It's important. And you know what? People can say what they want about their parents and like what kind of negative relationships they have. Like everybody has different relationships with their parents, right? But like that's one thing that I've always been really grateful for too is, my mom and I used to fight like crazy. And I know it's because I was a pain in the ass. And I will fully admit I was a bit of a pain in the ass. And do I have my karma served to me with my oldest daughter? Absolutely. I get it. And, and I think that really helped me to be more empathetic to my mom.
Right.
And rebuild our relationship. And it really has. Like her and I used to have a hard time and it's so different now.
Right.
And it's something where I've thought about that too. Like if I were to ever lose my parents, like I would never want it to be on a bad note, like, and so it's important to keep those relationships healthy and strong. Yeah.
I would also say, on that note, just always make sure you tell the people you love that you love them. Mm-hmm. Just do it.
Yeah.
Don't ever go to bed angry. Mm-hmm. Don't ever get in a vehicle and drive away or anything like that without, like, you have to tell, like, if you're fighting with your spouse or your parents or anything, just like you have to tell them that you love them.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. And leaving things on bad terms, that's something that is very hard for people to live with if something did happen. Mm-hmm. So, my advice is, don't ever leave something too long.
Yeah.
Address it, fix it, try to overcome it.
Heal that trauma.
Yeah. Yeah.
Smudge, don't judge.
Ooh, sounds like a shirt we should make.
It is a shirt, actually. It's
way.
Evilex 79. Yeah. Smudge, don't judge.
Smudge, don't judge. I like that.
Yeah, it is a good one.
So, yeah, I really love this show. And I hope that it goes on for a long time. I hope that it has longevity, because I really hope that it speaks to our Indigenous youth and our elders, our adults, I'm an adult now.
Yeah.
Like
it's truth and it's authentic.
Yes.
And it's the raw and real pain, humor, like it seriously touches on everything that is in a res, right down to their freaking health building where it's almost impossible to go in and just talk to somebody right away.
Exactly. It really changes your perspective on things when you see representation of you.
Yes.
On TV.
Yes.
And
accurate representation.
Yeah, not appropriation.
Yes, not that phony baloney stuff. We don't like that phony baloney. So,
speaking of phony baloney,
what's up?
Let's get into it.
Oh yeah, let's do it. Okay, here we go. We've been gearing up for this one ever since last week and recording episode 4. We've been pretty jacked up to bring up some of the feedback that we got regarding episode 4.
Yeah.
And let me just say, the feedback was from a mixed background of people.
Oh, for real?
It was amazing.
Okay.
I had blue collar people reaching out. I had hippie people reaching out. I had the strong, resilient Indigenous women reaching out. I had so many people reaching out, and lots of artists too. So
love that.
Things that they could really relate to.
Yeah.
Were I do that all the time when I said, and I even said it in my Instagram story today. I said, in our last podcast, I was not trying to call anyone out and make you feel shame. If you felt that way, that's something you need to deal with you.
Absolutely.
100%. If you're feeling shame, there's obviously something that you feel like you may have done wrong. So go and check on yourself with that. Go figure that out. But what I like to do is make you aware. I'm not here to shame you and be a culture vulture. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that person.
No.
But I do want to make you aware that when you are purchasing clothing from these companies that use Indigenous inspired art, ask questions.
For sure.
Message those people. Who designed that t-shirt? Who designed that logo? Who designed that? That's Indigenous art. Was it an Indigenous person? And most of the time, some of these boutiques, they're like, well, no.
Yep.
So it's Indigenous inspired, but it's not Indigenous. Okay. Thank you for letting me know that. And it's not that I boycott this company.
Yeah.
It's because maybe they didn't know better at the time, but I've just made them aware.
Yeah.
Politely.
And if you're, you know what, if you are inspired, label it.
Yes.
Fucking label that.
And say it.
Yes.
Exactly. And this is the thing too. If you really enjoy Indigenous art, hire Indigenous artists. There are digital artists all over the place. They have their web pages open, ready to receive your email requesting that you purchase art from them.
Yeah.
They are ready. They're like, let's go. Let's do this. I would love to help you represent with your company. Are you buying into Indigenous artwork? This is amazing. Thank you for helping.
Yep.
That's what you will be received as, not, oh, you blah, blah, blah person trying to come in and take my art. It's not going to be received that way at all. A lot of the Indigenous companies or companies that have partnered with Indigenous people, like think of Nike and the N7.
That's true.
Right? They hire Indigenous artists to create these lines and it blows up.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Like there is no reason that a non-Indigenous company cannot purchase Indigenous art to actually support Indigenous art and not be inspired by Indigenous art.
I totally agree. I just to give some context of like art cost.
Yes.
You know, like my friend, Kari Morgan, shout out to Kari Morgan Designs.
Yeah.
She is an amazing artist and her artwork, I was looking on her website cause I was thinking of reaching out to her to ask her if she would design a sign for us for our podcast. Right. And I haven't spoke to her because she had announced how busy she is. But anyway, I was just looking on her site just to look at her artwork and see what she has. And we're talking like, you know, for a painting about that size, you know, $1,000.
Yeah.
And some people scoff at that. Mm-hmm. And I really believe that like people don't value Indigenous art in the same way that they would value art from someone else.
Yeah.
And so when they look at that and they're like, what, $800?
Yeah.
Or, you know, and in my mind, I'm like, what do you mean? Like, why are you second guessing that? Like what makes you think that is any less valuable?
That could be the
than
next
what
Picasso.
they're asking.
That could be the next Picasso. That could be the next Van Gogh.
That's
right
it.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just think that there's a really big issue with this ideology of devaluing Indigenous artwork.
Because there's so much inspired by Indigenous out there and they do it for dirt cheap. Mm-hmm. That is the problem. And it takes away from actual Indigenous artists.
Bingo. Mm-hmm. You know, this, like, I don't mind like sharing this, you know, shout out to Bonnie Miller, who beaded this beautiful medallion for me. You know, she gave this to me for a deal. Mm-hmm. $150.
Nice.
Right? It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It is amazing beadwork. And that's a deal. I think anyone else would have paid $200 or more.
Yeah. Because she liked you.
Because she liked me.
Yeah.
So I got a deal.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I think that you have to understand that it's time. Mm-hmm. You're paying for someone's time.
Yeah.
It's not just, this painting. It's like, this painting or this medallion took me 50 hours to do. You're paying for someone's time.
Yeah. Well, the thing is too, is you got to think of it this way as well. Like every native loves a good trade.
Hey.
So if you're going to come in and you think maybe you're just a business that's just starting and you're not quite ready to splurge on artwork like that. Maybe it's something you really would love to do, but you can't trade. We're all about trades.
All about it.
You know what? I trade all the time with a lot of the stuff that I wear or I rep for other companies. Like I'll get a certain discount on things for posting certain pictures, making certain tags, doing certain things. It's like marketing, right? Yeah. So there's so many things that you can go about to support Indigenous artists. To help them get their names out there. And also like it'll benefit you because you're not buying inspired stuff, you're buying actual Indigenous made things. So if those prices are too high for you, like, hey, strike up a good trade. Don't be a cheap ass. Don't be a shit ass.
Don't be a shit ass.
Be reasonable. Come up with a trade, because if you are really genuinely interested in being an ally, working with, developing partnerships within the Indigenous communities, talk about things that really interest us.
For sure.
Right? Speak our language.
Oh yeah.
You don't have to speak our language. It's one of the hardest languages in the world to learn.
Key.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like just say, hey, like if I purchase this from you, would you be able to give me this kind of price, and then I'll do all this marketing and make sure I'm sending people to your page. Right. Right? Like there's trades that you can do like that. And we call them in the photography world, it's trade for post. Okay. Where, like a makeup artist, a hairstylist, a dress designer, the photographer, they'll all go in on a special project together and they'll each contribute to something where it's not like you're paying too far out of pocket for it, but you're collaborating. Right. We need more of that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Your grandma, she, I can't remember what it was. There was something. I think I can't remember the context, but I think my parents were selling something and your grandma was interested in buying it. Okay. And then she said, would you be interested in trading? Yeah. And I was like, if it was my thing, yes, I would be, but I think it's in this context, I think it's more of a financial need of a transaction than a trade. Yeah. And, but your grandma taught, we talked about trading, and, we've always said that if there's anything that, if there's something that we could do for each other, then let's do that. Yeah. Let's trade. Yeah. I'll help you, and then you can help me do something. Yeah. And I would like to see more of that. I would like to see more of us doing that trade kind of exchange, because that's how traditionally we did it. 100%. And it's not so much about like getting a leg up on anything at all. It's all about like, I love and appreciate you. I love and appreciate your work. Yep. And vice versa. Let's do something together. And that way we get to do what we love. And it's because sometimes when we do these things, when we make everything a job, we can lose our passion for things. Yeah. So, you got to keep in mind to keep things lighthearted and keep things passionate as well. But like with the passion, going back to appropriation, if you ever, this is real life. If you ever sat down and attempted to bead a medallion, a necklace, a pair of earrings, you would see why they cost so much. I was getting pretty heavy into beading for a little while there over the summertime. It was my thing. I like to sit down, throw some music on, just vibe out all night. That was my chill time. Learning. I was just learning and teaching myself, and I loved it. Can I tell you how many times I fucking poked my fingers, dropped my beads, knocked my tray over, said, fuck this, and scrushed everything all together and threw it down? Do you know how many times I did? A lot. I did a lot. So when you're questioning somebody about like their high price, it's just like, do you know how many times I almost took my finger off trying to make that thing? Yeah. There's things like that, right? So there's a lot of artistic patience that goes into artwork and beading and, making moccasins and any form of like regalia and whatnot too. That was one thing that I kind of had a hard time with, like when we were at the market, seeing some of like the witchy folk there
with certain, like having dream catchers hanging in their tents and stuff.
Right.
And it did make me a little uncomfortable. But I didn't, like get my finger in their face and scream at them about appropriation or anything. It was more like I would sit down and pull them aside and have that conversation with them and just be like, hey, like, who made that? Oh, you made it yourself? Oh, okay. Cause it's a hard conversation to have because you don't want to come across like an asshole.
Yeah.
But you also like, sometimes you feel that like obligation, like I just came across this. Am I going to do like, quote unquote, am I going to be a colonizer and just put my head down and walk away and accept it? Or am I going to take this chance to educate somebody?
Yeah.
Do you know what I did?
What'd you do?
I pulled the colonizer move and I put my head down and I walked away because I wasn't ready for that conversation.
Yeah, you could be. You can't just walk up and start screaming at people about things.
Some people do.
I mean, some people do. I mean, what I mean to say is you shouldn't. Mm-hmm. You can, but it's not the best way to go about things.
Yeah.
I wanted to quickly say about beadwork. Shout out to my Auntie Marion.
Yeah.
Okay. So my grandma, Wissa, for those of you who knew my Grandma Wissa, she used to bead headdresses.
Wow.
Big ones using like safety pins.
Oh my gosh.
Right. So she'd make big headdresses and she'd use the smaller safety pins and make little headdresses. Right. Yeah. And I had mentioned to my aunt a while ago I was like, does Grandma have any beadwork left? Like she passed away a long time ago, but I was like, does she have anything? Like, I'd love to have something of Grandma's.
Yeah.
And she says, I don't think so. Like, I think it's all been, gone.
Spoken for.
I said, oh, okay. Like, well, if you ever come across anything, let me know.
Yeah.
And anyway, for my birthday, she brought me a little beaded headdress.
Oh my gosh.
And she said, this isn't your grandma's. I made it, but I did have some of your grandma's beads left.
Aww.
And I made sure that a couple of them were involved in this headdress.
So sentimental.
Yeah.
Oh,
Marion.
I love that. She's so sweet.
She is.
I love Marion. Ryan loves Marion too. We just love her.
Yeah. You can't not love Auntie Marion.
Right? I know. I do. I love her.
But going back to the appropriation and appreciation. So you said you got like a lot of feedback.
Yes.
So would you say it was more positive, negative? Was there anything that really stuck out? Studis.
Skoden.
Was there anything? Maybe that's a new word.
What?
What did I just say?
Stuck out.
Stuck out. But that's the word, though, isn't it?
It is a word.
Oh my God. Anyway, was there anything that stood out? Stuck out.
That's what you said. Stuck.
There it is. Okay, there's another word for
That's
the vocab.
Stuck.
So is there anything that stuck out for you?
There was, yeah. So I had one of my girlfriends reach out to me. She's somebody who's very involved in the witchy community, very spiritual, like super respectful of other cultures as well. She's super respectful to two-spirit and non-binary people. She's a makeup artist. She's a maker. She does reclaimed clothing. She's so amazing. Shout out to Lila. I freaking love Lila. And anyway, she sent me a message. She was like, because I do this thing where after our podcast, once Jay sends us the samples and stuff, I go and I listen.
Yep.
I fucking critique myself like crazy, what I could do different, how I could speak differently, what I'm learning, right? It's all learning.
Yeah.
And right in that moment, I had seen that I missed a message from Lila, and I went back and then I was just like, hey, like, did you get a chance to listen to the podcast? And she goes, yeah, I did. And I kind of just went off with anxiety because I was like, was I offensive? Like, oh my gosh, like I didn't think of all my friends who are involved in like the witchy community and these kinds of things. And I don't want to be offensive to them. Like I want to hold their hand and like show them why certain things in our community is not accepted.
Right.
And she's like, don't ever apologize for being authentic and speaking from your heart.
Nope.
And I cried too, because I was like, okay, thank you. And like, I don't want to ever be offensive to anybody because you know what? As Indigenous people, we know all about that life. We've known it our whole lives.
Absolutely.
And people wonder, like, and I've said this many times before, people wonder why there's angry Indians out there. Have y'all checked your attitudes? Are you aware? Let's just say that. But anyway, so she was saying that, and then it sparked a conversation between her and her friend who is an Indigenous beater and makes earrings. And Lila like immediately went and bought earrings from her.
Okay.
And she's like, I'm supporting my Indigenous friends. I totally get what you're saying and how you said it, because we did say that. We said, if you're going to be interested in the Indigenous community, buy the authentic Indigenous stuff, because we had our culture ripped away from us. So when all these people who had nothing to do with our culture think that it's okay to put our culture on, it's not okay, because we just recently got granted those rights back. That's to get back in touch with our culture. So why is it so free for you to walk on in and think that our culture is available to you when it just was made available to us again?
That's right.
Right?
Absolutely. There's, I wanted to, speaking of like Indigenous, like beadwork and jewelry and stuff, I would love to see, you know how like in, like when we're talking about hip hop music and hip hop culture, I'd love to see this normalized. I'd love to see like medallions rocked. Like,
well, we do a lot of our Indigenous artists. They're rocking all of their medallions, and like they're wearing their like their granny scarves, their cookum scarves, and they're rocking all the merch from all the Indigenous makers as well. And I've been really paying attention to Indigenous music for quite a few years, because I've had my chance to go join people on the road and stuff like that. And I never did, because I'm a homebody. But seeing how they actually are embracing their culture on stage, making it more known. Same with all like the female Indigenous artists as well. There's no shame in rocking our culture anymore. It's beautiful.
It's fucking beautiful.
And I can see why people want a piece of it.
Oh yeah. So I think what we're trying to get to here is we're calling out businesses, right?
We're calling the businesses out.
We're calling out those people who run businesses, who bring in Indigenous things, dream catchers. You can buy sweetgrass bundles now.
Yeah.
And smudge bowls and holders and feathers and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's not authentic. It is not genuine.
This is the thing with the businesses too. If you walk into a business and you see all this stuff, ask questions politely. You don't have to be an asshole about it.
No.
Ask polite questions. I did that just this weekend. And I did. Yeah. I went downtown with my bestie, and we walked into this one shop 'cause she wanted to check it out. And we were walking around, and I noticed this whole like Indigenous inspired section. And I was like, And something told me like, just ask the question, Devin. What's he going to say? No. Right. So I just, bucked up and I walked over and I was like, hey, like who makes all this stuff? And I was like, is it Indigenous? Is it an Indigenous maker? And he said, actually, yeah, we did have things in here that we realized were appropriation.
Whoa.
So we got rid of it. And we are now only buying what is it? What is it called when you've got it on display? Like we're only advertising and helping out those people who are truly Indigenous making these things. So I was like, well, that's really awesome to hear. Thank you.
Love that.
Yeah. And that was really cool to walk in there and do that. Right. And I wasn't an asshole about it. I didn't have to be an asshole. It was a genuine question from the heart, and it was well received. Yeah. And then you get some people walking in, they're all hot headed, like, where the fuck did you get that? And, who made that? Blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, it's going to be like, and you send the person into a fucking panic attack. Like, no wonder why they're taking a bit of an attitude with you. They're on the defense, man. Like, don't walk in there guns blazing. Yep. Just go in there with purpose and be kind. And that's what we need.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's what it's, you and I have talked so much about conversations such as this. Yeah. And talking to people about things, right? If you see someone appropriating, speak to them. Yeah. Don't scream and yell. Like, we have to try and work a bit harder within ourselves to be able to put aside our anger. And I know it's not easy.
No,
it's not easy. And I do not blame anyone for the anger they feel inside of them for our colonial history and what has happened. That being said, if we can learn to check our anger and just kind of speak more from the heart and address things that are, when we see things that need to be called out, I'm telling you, we're going to gain more allies, more understanding, and more people who are like, whoa, I didn't know that. Thank you for sharing that with me. Thank you for helping me understand. Because as soon as you get anger, raising your voice, swearing, any of that stuff, people go defensive instantly. It's just a defense mechanism. So if we can learn how to talk more and yell less, we're gonna get further. We're gonna get further.
Some people don't talk at all. They're just given the old stare, the stoic stare down, and it scares the shit out of people to the point like it's like, what is wrong with that person?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but I totally agree with what you said, and it's a call out to our allies as well. Like just being aware.
Yeah, taking that time, taking that space, and. I think when a few years ago, when I was with my ex, she was big on Etsy and buying stuff off Etsy and stuff, and she called out a lot of people on Etsy and just kind of let them have it. Yeah, and I was just like, whoa, but it was. She just was so frustrated at what she's seen over and over again. And like we said earlier, you just gotta, if you're inspired by Indigenous art, if you're inspired by Indigenous culture, great. That's amazing. Yeah. Kudos to you. Yeah. But put that in your goddamn profile. Yeah. Put that in your advertising. I don't know how you'd word it exactly, but as long as it's something along the lines of my work is Indigenous inspired. Yeah. Now you've given yourself that buffer of saying, I acknowledge that I'm not of this community, but I'm inspired by their beauty and by their art and whatever. Yeah. Acknowledge it, own it. Yeah. And you're not going to get in as much trouble than if you just try to sell it as if you are Indigenous when you're not.
And brush it under the table and being like, hope nobody notices.
Right. Yeah.
Or asks questions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We got the 10-minute warning.
Oh, how long ago was that?
A couple moments ago.
Oh, great. But yeah, back to the feedback and stuff. So I had my one girlfriend reach out. That one really stuck out to me. And I even saw them post a picture of her with the earrings on and stuff and the Indigenous artist that she bought them from. Nice. And I was like, that is so fucking cool. Yes, girl, go girl. I love seeing that. And this is the other thing too, is non-Indigenous people, they feel like posers or colonizers trying to get in with the Indigenous people. A lot of times they are very hesitant to buy and actually wear and rep Indigenous made things because of the accusations that they will face afterwards, right? I've had that conversation with a couple people as well. They're like, you know what, every time I go to do it, it's fear. Fear holds them back by it too. I don't want to get made fun of for wearing a Sitting Bull t-shirt. I don't want to get made fun of for this and that and blah, blah, blah. It's well, if somebody makes fun of you, that's a problem with them. They need to heal themselves. Yeah. Because there's nothing wrong with you as a non-Indigenous person buying something Indigenous and wearing it if you have the intent to fully support that business. Yeah. So
absolutely. Wear it with pride. Yeah. There's nothing I thoroughly enjoy, I've met quite a few non-Indigenous people rocking the buckskin patch. Yes. And for those of you who aren't familiar with what the Buckskin Movement is, it's essentially a call to men to do better and learn that, violence is never the answer, that we are supposed to set good examples for our women and children and protect our women and children in community. So now it is not just an exclusive Indigenous thing. It is for anyone and everyone, but it started as an Indigenous thing to bring awareness to violence and, just trying to ensure that we are trying to do more to set good examples for our fellow men and women and children in community.
Yeah. Before we end here, I just want to say one shout out to Crystal. She made this post today and she talked about how she was calling herself back to her, where she was like, I need to open myself to forgiveness. I need to open myself to this. I need to stop being so filled with rage. And I commented on her post and I said, we just talked about this in the podcast. And I'm really grateful that you are posting this because we need to share more of this. I was like, are you okay if I screenshot this and post it to our page? Because I love it. She's like, I listened to the podcast. I loved that. I loved what you guys said. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. Like, you know what? My dreams of having the world be all sunshine, rainbows, holding hands, kumbaya, it seems like it's getting a lot closer. It does. And you know what? That was my big thing is like, I just want to teach my fucking babies to love your fucking babies.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say fucking babies. I want to teach my babies to love your babies. Let's say it that way. Sorry. I'm like, what the hell? But that's just the thing, right? Is we all get so involved in our cultures. And I talked to a beautiful Nordic witch who's very immersed into her Nordic heritage. I talk to other people involved in their cultural practices and whatnot too. And we talk about gatekeeping. We talk about all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
But ultimately what the final goal is like, why can't we all just love our cultures, not fight over who's right and who's wrong?
Yeah.
But just learn that we all have our own ways. We're all going to do things this way or that way. But it's okay to still love each other and be different.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know what else I was just thinking of? Maybe something we could do to help out our allies, our fellow listeners right now is maybe you and I can work together and we can throw out some websites and some accounts of authentic Indigenous beadwork, artwork, where you can buy, just some stuff that's coming from a direct source of an Indigenous maker.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's amazing. Like sharing to our Instagram stories. Yes. We can make a post about it and then we'll tag all the businesses. We're probably going to have to make a couple posts because there's a lot of people that we could tag.
Ooh.
So.
Well, that brings me to a great idea for all of you listening now. If you are an Indigenous business owner, or if you do beadwork, or if you do anything that's something you want to get more promotion or more eyes on or more traffic to, let us know.
Yeah.
We'll shout you out.
If you're a musician, if you're a dancer, if you are somebody who is coming up and you want your art out there, shout us out. Give us a shout.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. Shout us out.
Well, I think we're going to wrap it up there. Mm-hmm. This was another great episode.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone for tuning in. We appreciate you as always.
And we will catch you again next week. If you haven't already, go back and listen from episode 1. Listen all the way through to this episode 5, because you know what? This train, it's a going and it's not going to stop.
Nah.
It's doing great. Well, we're going to take a little break after the holidays, but
we will.
Yeah. But you know what? Everybody just jump on the intertribal train. It's all about peace and love here, baby.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better.
Yeah.
So everyone take care of yourself, love each other, and love your damn self.
Hell yes.
All
Peace out.
White.
White.